Welcome back to the Boneyard podcast, everybody. This is your host, Jared Shefford, along with my good friend,
Artemis Brower.
We're coming to you this week with episode 229.
229.
229. Artemis.
You.
What's going on, my brother?
We're good. Life is good. We're living. We're steadfast. We're inching closer to age 30. Still don't know how I feel about that.
It's right around the corner, big dog.
Right around the corner. It's right around the corner. About a little over 2 weeks away.
We got any plans for it? What are we doing?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I may just be at the crib. It's on a Thursday, so it's not like it's a Friday. It's a Friday night, obviously.
Club going up on a Thursday. Is it Tuesday or Thursday? You remember that song?
Yes, I love McConan. Club going up on a Tuesday.
Tuesday, yes. I don't know. Maybe you and I play some golf.
Let's get it in.
Maybe we do. Before we get into it, I want to recap. So Saturday, I played a round of golf with two guys that I had never met before. Played out of my mind pretty good on the front nine.
Did you? I was supposed to be with you, but it was a little last minute, so I couldn't make it.
Yeah. So these guys, I had texted Artie. I was like, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow?" On Friday night, and said, "Hey, you want to play golf on Saturday?" No dice. I mean, this text was at like 8:00, Friday night. So of course, I knew the answer before I texted, but I wanted to send
and I appreciate the offer. I do.
I wanted to send a hey, just testing the waters here. But I had just given up on playing last weekend, and then I'm in a group chat with about 150 other guys that it's really a Slack group. I play in a golf league on Tuesday nights during the summer, and I was like, "Hey, anybody got a tee time tomorrow? Want to play?" Nobody responded. Well, about 9:10, a message popped up. "Hey, I've got a spot open at my local country club for a tee time at 10 a.m. This is not. I see this message at 9:15. The golf course is 20 minutes away. I'm still in my sleep shorts and a raggedy old t-shirt, and just finished eating a massive breakfast of pancakes and bacon with my wife and daughter.
That's an itis type of breakfast.
And I said, "Oh, well, that sucks. I can't play. I can't make that." My wife, the angel that she is, was like, "How far away is it?" I said, 20 minutes. She said, "You got 40 minutes to get there. Can you get dressed in 3?" And I did. I got dressed in 5 minutes. I was out the door. I showed up. They literally already had their tee in the ground when I pulled up, and I walked up to the tee box and just striped a drive down the first fairway. Hadn't played in 3 or 4 months, and I beat 2 single-digit handicappers straight up on the front nine at their own golf course, and I was feeling myself. I'll just say that.
Now talk to us about the back nine.
The back nine was a little rough. The back nine's harder at this course, which is, I mean, there's a couple holes. I also my rangefinder died, so I wasn't as dialed in on the numbers. Depth perception is terrible, so wasn't as dialed in on the numbers. But I mean, I'm usually not a pin seeker. I'm usually not hitting many greens in regulation.
Mm-hmm.
Already, I couldn't miss a green. I could be all over the course, but I wasn't missing a green in reg. I think I hit every single par 3, hit the green on my tee shot. So happy there. There was several par 5s where I was on in 2, which was nice. And this was playing from the blues, y'all. I was feeling pretty good about how I was playing it, and I was striping it. So. And the guys I was playing with, they were helping me out a little bit. Of course, it was their course. they were giving me kind of the lay of the land. I'd only played there once, but they invited me back out Saturday, so
Nice.
I've got another tee time with them Saturday. I think we're gonna film some content together, and one of them has some kind. He's got some kind of deal with a golf brand, and we're gonna put out some content together. And I think we're gonna do the almost like the Bryson DeChambeau. We're gonna play from the red tees, a scramble, and see if we can break 59. So if that does come out, I will post it wherever, and you'll be able to find it. But yeah, I mean, and there's a connection. I won't talk about the exact connection, but there's a connection to ECU there that we found out very early, and it's fitting that we're talking about ECU baseball today. I'll just say that. It was really cool to talk to one of these guys. One of his brothers went to ECU and played baseball there. So cool. Well, Artie, episode 229.
Yes.
29. Do you have one for me?
I do have a 29. I am diving into your realm tonight. I'm going hockey. I'm going Hockey Hall of Fame.
Datsuk.
You said what?
Is it Pavel Datsuk?
No.
Who is it?
It's a guy by the name of Ken Dryden.
Okay.
Ken Dryden. 29 for the week. One of the greatest goalies of all time in NHL history. For the kiddos who don't know, he played back in the day. This is like a 60s, 70s, early 80s kind of guy. 6 Stanley Cups. I believe he played for the Montreal Canadiens.
I just want to clarify. I thought that Pavel Datsuk wore number 29. He wore number 13. My bad.
He did. See, look at you. But see, Ken Dryden did wear 29. All right.
Yeah, he did.
6-time Stanley Cup winner. I think it was 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-Pro, whatever it is, whatever the All-Pro is in hockey. He was that 5 times. Jersey retired by the I think he played for Columbia. Was it Columbia or Cornell? Cornell. He played for Cornell. That's where he went to school and play hockey, I believe. And then obviously Hockey Hall of Fame in 1983. So that is my 29 for the week. I am diving into hockey. See, I do all sports. I cover everything. All right. Ken Dryden, 29. Shout out. Google him if you don't know.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm gonna go with I think I've done him on here before, but I did him under a different number, so I don't think it's chalk. And I could go the easy route and go with one of the greatest, quite possibly the greatest pitcher in Braves history. That would be like the easy way out. John Smoltz wore number 29. That's not my number 29. But this was a guy, the reason he didn't wear 29 with the Braves was because he was on the team with John Smoltz. This guy should be a Hall of Famer, MLB Hall of Famer, but he's not. I'm going to go with none other than Fred McGriff, the crime dog. Like I said, I think I've done his before. Actually, he did get in the Hall of Fame. He got in not on the normal ballot, but like on the writers ballot, and this was I think last year. So I forgot that he actually did get in. 5-time All-Star, 1995 World Series champ with your Atlanta Braves, 3-time Silver Slugger, and then an All-Star MVP. I mean, over 2,400 hits, almost 500 home runs. I mean, 284 batting average. Just all in all, one of the greats. First baseman, had almost 20-year career in the majors, 19-year career. So yeah, the crime dog, Fred McGriff. That's my 29. Josh,
Love it.
You got one? It was Joey Logano 29, or was that 19?
Neither.
Mm.
Joey Logano was in the 20, and then he was in the 22. Now he's in the 22.
Gotcha. Who was in the Kevin Harvick was 29.
Yes, and that is my number 29 actually. The man who was called up to do the impossible to replace Dale Earnhardt Sr. midway through the 2001 season. I really started like in Atlanta. Had a championship career. Ended up becoming a champion later on in his career. Richard Childress Racing just could not really do what needed to be done with Kevin. So greener pastures were sought, and he was able to get that championship with SHR while he was in the number 4. But the number 29, he will always be remembered the last driver to drive the 29, I believe, in the Cup Series. Kevin Harvick. Second year in retirement, second year doing the Fox. I believe he does the Fox. Yeah, the Fox broadcast. Pretty good guy.
A quick story. So growing up, I grew up in close proximity to Richard Childress and RCR. I drove by RCR every day on my way to school, every day on my way to high school. And all of his drivers, a lot of his like crew chiefs, all lived around Richard Childress. They all lived within a mile of Richard, and on Richard's land, he had a bunch of houses that were across the street that was on his land. And one of my best friends growing up lived over there, and Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick lived over there, and they'd go hunting, but we'd also every once in a while go out on their land and go hunting with them. But riding dirt bikes and four-wheelers on their land was absolutely sick. My family is close friends with Richard Childress. I'll say that he's a family friend of ours, and my grandfather used to work for General Motors. And when Kevin Harvick was coming up, and I guess this must have been 2001, right after Senior passed. It was in Charlotte. It was either Charlotte or Rockingham. We would always sit up in the General Motors booth. My grandfather worked for General Motors, and I was 6 at the time. Have I told you this story, Josh?
Yes.
But anyway, I was sitting there talking to Richard Childress, asking him who his favorite driver was. He was scouting and spotting for Kevin Harvick. I had no idea who Kevin Harvick was. He said, "I'm watching the guy in the 29 car." And I said, "Oh, well, my favorite driver," granted I was 6, cut me some slack, y'all. So my favorite driver was Jeff Gordon, which is a no-no in the General Motors suite, much less talking to Richard Childress. But yeah, Richard and Chocolate Myers and that group are longtime friends of my family. So yeah, good pull. That's a good one. Kevin Harvick is a legend in his own right.
Oh yeah,
Daytona 500 this weekend.
It is.
I might have to tune in.
Beginning tomorrow at noon, watching ARCA practice and every bit of racetrack action I can get.
Feel that.
Not enough to replace football, but gotta have something.
Gotta have something.
Take up golf, Josh. Take up golf. I'm telling you.
We got 6 months to fill the void. Gotta have something.
Gotta have something.
All right. Let's get into it. Episode 229. All right, just we're gonna go around ECU athletics real quick. We don't really need much discussion on a lot of these. Women's basketball advances to 13-11 after beating Tulsa. Men's basketball, is this the updated record after beating UAB tonight? I assume it is. 13-12 on the
14.
Season.
14.
Is it 14?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if that number had already been updated, but 14-12 on the season after beating UAB earlier tonight. Honestly, as we shit on ECU basketball last week, at least I did. And here's the problem with ECU. They come out and they do this and they put together a complete game. Granted, they had to fight back from a hole and come back to win the game. but you beat the defending conference champions and the team that's tied for second in the conference tonight at home. I mean, that's a big win. That's a good win in the conference. You got to figure out how to put some more wins together and string some more along. But this is the problem. Last week we talked about ECU losing to Rice, who had been on a 7-game losing streak, and then they turn right around and beat UAB, who's tied for second in the conference.
It just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. And then we had to pull a rabbit out the hat to beat UTSA, right? Don't forget about the UTSA when we literally we snuck that one in. We probably should have lost that game. So yeah, no, this team is I mean, look, they're 500, and this is what we've expected from ECU basketball the last 5, 6, 7 years. They're just gonna be it's a 500 team. They're gonna win games, and they're gonna win 2 or 3 in a row, and they'll be like, oh my God, like this is like what we've been looking for. This is what we've been praying for, and they beat a quality opponent, right? Like a UAB, and it's like, okay, like this team can actually put it together, and then they're gonna go around and lose to Charlotte. Like they're gonna mess around and lose to Charlotte. So it's just like I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, I mean, they're 14-11 on the season, and I mean, you've got Charlotte on the road this weekend. Then you got to go at Tulane, UTSA at home next Sunday, the 23rd. Really, like the way the end of this season kind of wraps up. We did this game a couple weeks ago. You've really got a good shot to string some games along and make a move.
I mean, realistically, you've got a shot to win 3 to 4 of your remaining games, but is that going to actually happen? Who knows? If I was a betting man, which occasionally I am, I would say no. No, it's not going to happen. That they're going to win 3 to 4 their last 6 or 7 games. But
Josh, do you remember? Was it with 11 games left? What we set the over under at?
I believe it was
8.
8. It was 8. Yeah.
How are we looking on that?
Let's see.
6 games left. You got Charlotte twice, Tulane twice, UTSA, Florida Atlantic.
I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. ECU goes on, like, ECU started out pretty good to start the season, right? Started out 4-0. Lost a game that they should have won, and then won 3 more. But then they go on these losing streaks, losing 3 games in a row. Win a game, lose 3 more games in a row. Win a game, lose 2 games in a row. Like they can't find any real consistency, right? I mean, they're 5-2 in their last 7, yes, but when you extrapolate that out to 10 games, they're 6-4.
Yeah.
Right. So they are just above 500 team. So, yeah, I mean, just looking at it, you got to think that there's a chance to do something. They're currently 7th in the American Athletic Conference, but you're tracking down teams that, I mean, if you can pull out a couple wins against Tulane and maybe beat Florida Atlantic, then you're starting to make some moves because those 2 teams are above you in the standings.
Yeah, at the end of the season, having to play Charlotte and Tulane one after the other twice, with UTSA swapped in the middle as a home game, 3 straight home games against teams that you would have just seen 2 weeks prior. ECU could do it. ECU could do it. It's just a matter of will they. The final game of the year at Florida Atlantic. Let it be what it is. But these next 5 games can all be won handily.
I think you've got to find a way to beat Charlotte twice, because you're gonna lose one of those Tulane games.
I mean, Charlotte's 2-10 in the conference.
That's what I'm saying. You got to find a way to beat Charlotte twice. You just, to me, you gotta find a way to do that twice, and you're gonna drop one of those Tulane games. I'm guaranteeing that. And then between UTSA and Florida Atlantic, you're gonna drop one of those games too. So I think realistically, they can win 3 of their last 6. And get to what was that, 17 and 14? They will be on the season, which that's kind of par for the course with East Carolina basketball. But I don't know.
Look, if you can find a way to beat Tulane once and also beating FAU on the road is probably your toughest game left. To close out the season. If you can find a way to at least beat Tulane once, and I think you got to try to. I mean, of course you're going to try, but I think you realistically, to set yourself up for success in the tournament, I think you have to beat Tulane both times. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it comes down. I mean, ECU's kind of right there. I mean, they could still finish top 5 in the conference if things break their way. I'd have to look at like the Temple and Tulane schedules the rest of the way out. But if you beat Tulane both times, you're looking pretty good. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I get so mad at ECU basketball. And then they come out and pull out a win like they did tonight.
Maybe we should just talk straight dog shit about the program, and then they'll just win constantly. maybe that's what we just talk straight dog cash shit about the program, and they'll just win.
Hey, I'll try anything at this point.
The only loss projected right now for Tulane to wrap up this season is UAB, who they have already lost to by 11, 12. So other than that, I mean, they got Wichita State, ECU twice, Tulsa, and Charlotte, and Rice. They've only lost to North Texas, Memphis, Temple, and UAB. So
anyways, watch 2-10 Charlotte in the conference against East Carolina on ESPNU on Saturday at 4:00, or of course, that game's going to be on national TV, and of course, we're going to lose. That's gonna piss me off. You want me to come on here and talk shit? If ECU loses to Charlotte on Saturday, I'm coming on here and I'm going to talk the most shit next week. You can't lose on national television to the worst team in the conference. You just can't. You can't.
10 in the conference. Yeah, no, you can't do that.
I mean, they're 9-16 on the season. I mean, this team, and honestly, they may not win another game all season.
Yeah.
They got Temple outside of the two against EC. They got Temple, Tulane, North Texas, and UTSA. So,
all good.
A lot of L's on this schedule. They did beat Gardner-Webb, who beat ECU. So there's that. All right, what's next? What else we got? Softball split the weekend with wins over St. Francis and Providence, and then also had losses to Virginia and South Carolina in the Gamecock Invitational to open up the season. So 2-2. Look, this team was hot down the stretch last year.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout for ECU softball. Look, you lost to Virginia and South Carolina. You're not going to play the Virginias and South Carolinas every single week of the season. So excited to see what the women do on the diamond. Women's lacrosse beat Queens to start a 5-game opening road stretch. They will be going to San Diego in March. Beautiful San Diego. Here it's lovely out there. Here the weather is always pristine. Wouldn't blame anybody. Say that.
I said I have also heard that. Very beautiful.
I'm sure you have already. No, yeah, I'm excited to see these teams compete. I mean, we've said it, like they're all ECU's competitive in almost every sport every single year, outside of basketball and of recent note football. But I think that football thing's about to change. I think the American Athletic Conference is going to be wide open next year when it comes to football. I mean, I think you got Memphis at the top. Army's not going to be as good as they were last year. Navy's not going to be as good as they were last year.
They'll still be there. They'll still be competitive. They'll still be there. But yeah, I think it's going to be wide open. Tulane's, going to kind of drop off a little bit. Not too much. No, I think the American's open. I think it is Memphis's conference to lose, but I think it's going to be wide open.
It's like Memphis, and I would put ECU in that second tier behind Memphis. I'm trying to think. Like,
I think there's a bunch. I mean, behind Memphis, I think there's a bunch of 4 teams that can legitimately, crack open the door.
But Army lost a lot. Navy lost a lot. USF's gonna always be there. We'll see how they end up going, but USF is the NC State of the power or the group of 5. Always so much hype and always
never actually lose.
Yeah, they're always, this is the year that USF's going to win the conference, and then
they've got the back-to-back played Alabama close banner, but
yeah, I mean Mike Houston once coached a Citadel team that had Alabama on the ropes in Bryant-Denny Stadium. But that doesn't do anything for you.
But I will respect South Florida. They will be a legitimate contender in the conference next year. Will they do anything with it is up to them. But I think they'll come in as a legitimate contender.
They won't. Anything else you want to talk about before we throw it into baseball?
Let's dive into it. We know what time it is.
All right. Well, yeah, let's do it. I mean, it is time for ECU baseball. Football season is always one of our favorite seasons, but baseball season just hits different in Greenville. Like, you wake up on opening day for baseball in Greenville, and it just feels different. A lot of times there's still a chill in the air, but it's most of the time, hopefully, it's pretty sunny. I remember being in college and going to the baseball games on opening day and heading out of class, maybe skipping my 3:00 class and being like, all right, this Friday I'm gonna skip. Hopefully I wasn't taking too many 3:00 classes on Fridays, but I'm gonna skip my afternoon classes on Fridays. And we're gonna go have some beers out in the jungle or out in the Stratford Arms across the street. Play some wiffle ball. Played a lot of wiffle ball across the street before ECU baseball games. So yeah, it baseball season just hits different.
It does. I mean, in Greenville, obviously, like you mentioned, it's football. And then there's baseball right afterwards. But baseball is the one program where, legitimately, if we crack through that door, we could be bringing home a natty. We don't feel that way about football. Obviously, football is the bread and butter. Obviously, we want to have that feeling about football. But if we're being realistic, football is never going to compete for a natty. Like realistically, they might have a Cinderella season once in our life, where they may get cracked into a playoff and compete for a natty. This baseball program has a chance to compete for a natty every single year. So this is it's just a different feeling. It's just a different kind of vibe in Greenville when it comes to baseball season.
Yeah, it really is, and we'll see how things go. But there's a lot of uncertainty around this ECU baseball team. Look, this may be one of the most talented rosters that ECU's ever had, but it's also a very, I'll say inexperienced, but it's not 100% the case, right? It's a lot of new faces on this team, so much so that I think you're really only returning 3 starters from last year. Your Friday night pitcher is a guy that didn't really start, wasn't a starter until later in the season. Granted, he was nails late, but Ethan Norby is going to be your Friday night guy. And then you got a freshman going on Saturday, right? So there's a lot of turnover on this team, and we'll just have to see how things play out. But it's weird not starting the season ranked in the top 25. I don't necessarily agree with it. There's a lot of talent on this team, but I do think that ECU will if they can start hot, they're gonna rise up the rankings pretty quickly.
Like they always do. Yeah. And honestly, I think it's kind of good for our baseball team to not really have any preseason hype like they have in years past. I think that's really good for a program that is a sleeping giant, a program that knows what they can do if they live up to their full potential. A coach/manager and Cliff Godwin, who obviously is one of the best in the country. He's going to have his guys playing at the highest level. He's going to maximize the talent that he has. I think this is honestly a blessing in disguise, and watch ECU kind of climb up those ranks as we progress through the season.
100%. All right, I think what do we have on the list here? We're gonna go through. Should we do some of the roster stuff, or should we go through the non-conference schedule?
You guys go ahead and hit the roster real quick.
Yeah, so we talk about a lot of new faces. You got a lot of guys that weren't starters last year that are. They saw the field, but they weren't your everyday guys.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like the Walker Barons and the Colby Wallaces of the world. Of course, you got Dixon Williams. He's going to play second. You got Riley Johnson, old reliable, out there in center. And then really that's kind of it, right? Like Colby Wallace, you saw him down the stretch last year. You got Austin Irby coming in, probably going to play first base. Freshman Braxton Trammell, probably going to play third base. Another freshman. You got Alex Boucher. Was that the guy that hit? I think he hit 2 home runs against us last year at Old Dominion when we lost to them. I think that was. He transfer shortstop. So, you got a lot of new faces, especially on the infield. Really everywhere. Like you got new faces everywhere. You got Sean Jenkins, who's going to be the Saturday starter at least to start the year as a true freshman. Look, this is going to be one of the most talented arms in college baseball, and he's got a lot of hype as a freshman. There were people thinking, is he going to be the Friday night guy to start the season? That would be absolutely insane to throw a true freshman on Friday nights to start the season. But Cliff Godwin and company, Austin Knight, they believe in him enough to give him the Saturday role. So overall, it'll be interesting. The question, this team hit a bunch of home runs last year. I think it was over 80 home runs. I think around 85, 86. You lost a lot of that pop. Where are you going to find that pop? The most returning is from Dixon Williams. He had 9. Now in summer ball last year, he looked really good. Can he carry that momentum into his junior year? We'll see.
Yeah, because it obviously can't be him by himself, right? But I mean, if you had to guess one of one of these guys, young guys or guys working up the ranks, who do you think would kind of add to that pop or that consistency that you think this baseball team needs?
I think Colby Wallace is a guy that can do it. Also, Walker Barron might add some pop, but Riley Johnson surprised a lot of people when he hit 4 last year. Let's see if he can go for even more. And we all know that while the home run does a lot for ECU, that's not their game. That's not never really been their game. They're gonna work counts and work at bats against quality pitching, and they're gonna get on base, and then they're gonna small ball you, right? They're gonna be feisty on the base pass. They're gonna be trying to steal a lot of bases and try to score that way, right? Like they're gonna play small ball. That's Cliff Godwin's way. Finding a guy that can add some pop could go a long way for this team this year.
So what would you say is more consistent, the bullpen or the hitting for East Carolina this season?
I think there's so much uncertainty, right? Like you lost so many guys that I think you're gonna still see the quality at bats. That's Cliff Godwin's MO, right? We're gonna go up there. We're gonna battle for at bats. We're not gonna give anything up. The bullpen last year that at times seemed to struggle, but we're gonna see how it goes throughout this year. And I think you've got a little more. You got a little more experience there. A lot of those guys in the bullpen last year, for the most part, they were fairly inexperienced. They had never been in that big spot. The bullpen, I think, will be much improved this year over what it was early in the season last year, because you had a lot of games where the bullpen blew the game. I mean, early in the season, maybe not so much late in the season, but early in the season, it was really tough to win ball games because you'd get out to a lead, but then your bullpen would give up that lead.
I agree.
And we've seen it time and time again. Cliff Godwin's not afraid to throw a guy out there, and he has a bad at bat or struggles against one batter. He's not afraid to yank him, right?
We've seen that time and time again.
So don't be surprised if you see a lot of pitchers during this first weekend. I don't know who's going to go Sunday. I know the group chat was popping off with an absolutely wild rumor. I don't know if I'm ready to believe that yet.
Yeah.
The rumor was that quite possibly one of the top 2 guys, either Ethan Norby or Sean Jenkins, would go on short rest on Sunday. That would be an absolute insane move to do that on Sunday, the first week of the season. At that point, just throw a bullpen day, see what you can get.
I like
that would be absolutely wild. If that were to happen, that would be absolutely wild. Josh, Artie, y'all, any thoughts from y'all? I feel like I've talked a lot.
Well, I mean, I would say as far as the roster, I don't. I know it's a lot of turnover. I know it's a lot of new faces coming in. I do think your mainstays that you have Ethan Norby, you have Riley Johnson. They've both been predicted third-team All-Americans. I think those are guys are going to be obviously dudes that need to step up. Dixon Williams, of course. That leadership to me is what's gonna really pull everything together between those 3 guys, between some of the others. Getting these young guys to kind of do what they need to do as far as whether it's hitting, whether it's bullpen, whether it's whatever it may be. There's a standard that's set at East Carolina. I don't think that standard is going to really fall off or falter. And obviously, I think Godwin's going to get these guys to where they need to be. I think obviously the American is not as competitive as it probably should be to give us the kind of challenge and test we need going into postseason play. I do think we're going to win the American. I think there's going to be teams like UTSA that'll be there to compete a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be that competitive as far as us not winning another conference. But
the team to watch out for this year is definitely going to be Tulane. I think Charlotte's going to be a little bit better, and they're going to be a little bit more feisty down the stretch. Look out for them. But to me right now, I mean, ECU is still number one, but Tulane is closing in, but definitely in second.
You don't think UTSA is there at all?
I wouldn't put them in the top two.
Okay. I don't really think we're going to get much push anyway, to be completely honest with you. I just don't think the conference is that strong from really
Fair enough.
Top to bottom. But my main concern is, and which has always been my main concern, is how do we fare against better competition when we actually have to go up there and actually do it, whether it's hosting a regional or going to a regional. That's my concern. But that's a conversation way down the line. But I think this team is going to be okay.
I definitely think that the youth of this team is what's going to be the thing that slows us down when conference play comes around. I mean, we're going to get the best that every team has to offer every single weekend. And so just how mentally tough are these younger players, and how prepared are they to really step up to the plate, see a senior in college who's had years to develop in college ball, and just be able to take in all the different places that they're going to go. I mean, I think travel is going to be not really a huge factor for some of these guys, but I think just getting into the routine of travel and the routine of school with playing and things like that. I just think that that's going to be the biggest test for what this team can really accomplish, is just how does the talent that we have in the youth come through, and can it sustain itself throughout the entire season?
Yeah, I mean, luckily for ECU, when you talk travel, I mean, you really don't have to go until conference play. You don't really have to go anywhere. The furthest you're going to go is out to Wichita State. I would think that that's further than Rice, but still Central Time Zone. That really you're going to stay in the state of North Carolina and Virginia, the states of North Carolina and Virginia, for a good part of your year, right? I mean, you got to go up to Richmond for VCU, but most of your non-conference games, you're not doing the travel out to Seattle, Washington, or Los Angeles. This year, you're staying pretty close to home. So hopefully, especially early in the season, that shouldn't be a factor.
Yeah, and I don't think that it'll be too much of a factor. I think one of the things that I'm going to be excited to see with this team is how young we play the game versus UNC at home, seeing how that youth kind of takes in that type of atmosphere, and then playing in Durham in the Bull Stadium, seeing how they're able to perform in that environment, and then at UNC. I think that series to me is probably the greatest lineup that we could have to prepare the team for the rest of the season. I just think that is the best 3 days of the year to see, like, hey, if you guys want to play big time ball, like this is 3 examples of big time ball.
Yeah, for sure. And don't forget, I mean, you get Campbell to start the year on the road. We know that's always a tough way to start the season for your right.
The first and last non-conference opponent. A very smart way to play that. Or midweek, I should say.
Just real quick, I was looking at tickets for the ECU Carolina. There's still plenty of tickets available. It looks like on StubHub. If you want to go to Boshemer and take in that and turn Carolina purple, you can get some tickets behind third base for like $30. I was honestly expecting those to be much higher. Not to mention, real quick, ECU's going to play in 3 minor league stadiums this year. They're going to play in.
I did not know.
Yeah, they're going to play in DBAP against Carolina early in the season, that second weekend. They're going to play in, was it Segra and Fayetteville?
Okay,
Yep.
I do see that. Yeah.
And then they're going to play in Truist down in Charlotte when they play Charlotte on the road.
Nice.
So
that'll be good to go to.
That'll be ECU's going to play quite a bit in minor league stadiums. Yeah, that Friday night game, April 11th, will be at Truist Field. I might have to head on down to that one.
That will be a good one. I've actually never caught a ball game in Truist, but I know it's a beautiful venue.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
The city should have planned a little bit better to have a bigger footprint for that stadium.
Yeah.
And then they could really consider turning that into an MLB stadium. The way it's constructed right now, they can't grow it, and there's no shot to put an MLB stadium where it is right now.
Yeah.
They can grow it, I promise you.
I don't know. I think that's been the problem with Charlotte. I think Raleigh's probably better suited for an MLB team at this point than Charlotte.
We are, because we have the investors prepared to do it.
That's RTP, baby. Raleigh got the money.
Well, Charlotte has the money too. Both of them have.
Oh yeah,
have
I mean,
money.
you got banking in Charlotte. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I mean, Charlotte has the money, but right now, the money's going other places.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, versus everyone in Raleigh's like, hey, well, because with the Centennial project that's about to kick off, I mean, that's gonna transform PNC or Lenovo and all that. So,
I'm drinking up the NC State fans' tears of how they're getting rid of a lot of their tailgating spots.
Yeah.
I'm loving that. Oh, I love that they're so upset about that. They're building and it's honestly good for the Hurricanes. I mean, at the end of the day, the Hurricanes own the building, right? Like they're the main owners of the building, and they rent it to NC State.
Yeah. Basically.
So like, sorry, State, they're doing these things to better themselves. So get over it. Go play at Reynolds. Why don't you go do that? Go play at Reynolds.
Yeah.
All right. We talked a little bit about the non-conference slate. You start the season this weekend against George Mason. Once again, you go on the road next week. First midweek game of the season. That game will be on Flow Sports. You know, the channel we all love.
Wow.
I say that tongue in cheek. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be tuning into that one on the radio.
One of 2 games on Flow Sports this year.
Is the UNCW game the other one?
It is.
Depending on how that lays out, a lot of times if you sign up for Flow Sports, you get like a month free. So maybe the Boneyard podcast will just have to like come up with some different emails and game the system. Because there's no way in hell I'm paying for Flow Sports.
No, why would you?
That is, it should be illegal to have to stream things on Flow Sports. I'm just saying, it's always bad. It's always bad. But yeah, Campbell next week, and then of course the 3-game series. I love that they do this with Carolina, and that Carolina isn't scared to do it every single year, where they do a game at East Carolina, a game usually at DBAP, and then a game at Chapel Hill. I love that. The only thing I would say is I would love for there to be a baseball invitational in the state of North Carolina. Like just schools from North Carolina.
Just have an NC Invitational, throw in Duke, Campbell, State, ECU.
It would be hard because the Carolinas and the States and Wakes and Dukes are all in the same conference. But then again, so is ECU and Charlotte. You would have to figure that out. Like, okay, these are just going to be non-conference games. They don't count towards conference, right? But that would be sick. And to move it around to different minor league stadiums in the state every year, I think that would be awesome.
I think there's a pretty simple way to do it, but I'm not gonna flesh it out right here. But I have a way.
We got time. I got time.
Yeah, no, it's gonna take too long. It's gonna take too long.
But also, I mean, you could bring in Clemson and South Carolina and Coastal, Furman,
Interstate,
the North-South, Carolina, Kakalaki, baseball invitational.
I mean, that would be great. I mean, you're talking about some of the best programs in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And could you imagine, okay, I'm going to go over here to Truist Park in Winston-Salem, and I'm going to go watch East Carolina play South Carolina. Or I'm going to go to, I don't know, I'm going to go to Truist and Charlotte, or whatever they're calling the stadium over in Greensboro now.
Yeah.
Like, that would be sick. Even if you did it with, like, just the North Carolina schools, it'd be sick.
I concur. I would love to see it. I am curious to hear Josh's fix.
I'll bring it back next week. I'll bring it back next. I'm gonna write it all down, and I'll bring it back next week
Okay. Bring us that soliloquy.
If I were the baseball commissioner,
The baseball
regional for the Southeast Regional.
The North Carolina, South Carolina baseball commissioner.
The Carolinas baseball commissioner.
Carolina Collegiate Baseball Commissioner, CCBC.
There we go. The CCBC.
I love it.
Oh, all right. I'm not going to go through all the games, but I mean, Old Dominion's on here. You got the LeClaire Classic, Virginia Tech, another ACC opponent. Indiana State has been good recently in baseball, so don't sleep on them. Got to go on the road or to a neutral site game against Gardner Webb in Fayetteville. Then you got home series against Coastal Carolina, former College World Series champions. Turn right around at VCU for 2 nights in 2 midweek clashes. William and Mary. Of course, you get UNCW. That game is also – is that 4? That game's also in Fayetteville.
Which one?
Yeah, the
UNCW.
Yeah,
That's 4.
Sacred Stadium. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I didn't realize like Gardner Webb was in Fayetteville, but yeah.
I didn't realize UNCW was. I don't like that UNCW is. That should be a home game.
Well, we're playing them 3 times. First at Sacred.
I would rather that just be a weekend series. If you're gonna play a team 3 times, I'd rather it just be a weekend series.
But then you wouldn't get Coastal.
I don't need Coastal. Get rid of William and Mary and add in App State in the midweek. Just my 2 cents. April 8th, NC State comes to town. And then we go on the road to Doak Field. Bring your umbrellas. ECU, NC State, April 22nd, 6 o'clock. So, yeah, I mean, the schedule sets up nicely. I like the way the ECU's got their schedule set up.
Very
Not crazy about finishing on the road, but at least if you're finishing in South Florida, so you don't have to go far to Clearwater.
Exactly. Yeah.
So just go ahead and soak up that sun. All right.
It is.
I saw, Josh, you have it over under of 39 wins on the season. How are we feeling about it?
I mean, last year, ECU was able to get 46 wins. 2023, ECU was able to get like 47.
Are we? So we're including the postseason.
We are including the postseason. Yes, this
Then
is
easy over.
Easy over.
I think it's a pretty easy over that ECU gets there.
Yeah, I mean, 56 games in the regular season. If you're including the postseason, they're hitting that over.
Yeah.
And 21, 44 total.
Yeah, I mean, I think 40 wins is the benchmark for ECU. Anything less than 40 wins is a travesty at this point. Granted, there's a lot of unknown going into this season, but I think 40 wins is a must.
So you say they're getting in the regular season?
I'm not saying in the regular season, but
just okay.
I think 40 wins is a must.
What they get in the regular season out of 56 regular season games? What they get in the regular season?
I'll give you. I'll take 37.
Ooh, okay. I was actually going to say 38. I think they get 38 in the regular season.
Josh?
Out of 56, I'm going to have to go. I'm going to go 37. I'm going to go 37.
I like where we're at.
My mind wants to go 36, but I'm gonna go 37.
I think you. Depending on how we start, if we start out slow, ask me in 2 weeks. But look, we started out slow. What was it? 2 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago, yeah.
And
winning what felt like 50 games in a row. So.
I mean, you're not going to have too many seasons where you have 20-game winning streak.
Yeah, it was a legit 20-game win streak. Yeah,
but like once ECU starts getting rolling and things kind of feel like normal, I think it'll be the status quo for ECU. The first couple of weeks may be weird, but if you can find a way to weather the storm and start the season, even if you start the season 5-2, 4-3, the sky won't be falling.
Yeah.
Everybody think about that right now. If you can start the season 4-3, 5-2, it's gonna be okay.
I think as long if we can avoid the 2022 start of getting swept to open, winning at Campbell, and then losing 2 out of 3 against Carolina. If we can avoid that to open up the season, anything better than that, I'm fine with.
Yeah, no, you can't get swept by George Mason like you did when you got swept by Bryant.
Yeah.
Like, if you honestly, if I don't ever like to call for a sweep, but you take 2 out of 3 against George Mason, you beat Campbell, and then if you could take, like I said, if you could take 2 out of 3 against Carolina, I like the way we're feeling, and that's only going to help your RPI. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, that's why we don't play the games on paper. That's why we play them on the diamond. So
diamond, baby.
I'm excited. I've already made sure that I don't have any meetings scheduled Friday afternoon. So we'll be ready. We will be ready. But Friday, first game, 4:00. If you're not able to make it to Clark LeClaire, tune in on ESPN Plus. All right. Any walk the planks this week?
I've got one. Just one.
What is it?
The New York Football Giants organization. Pretty self-explanatory. So I'll just say that.
Yeah. No, that's yeah. What makes it worse is that he literally had one of the single greatest seasons of all time for a running back. That's just the cherry on top of the sundae. That's the ultimate icing on the cake. Like, it's just awful.
And the funniest part is that he had a subpar game in the final game and still got the,
it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. Still reached the pinnacle just by being as consistent as he was throughout the season. He didn't even need to show up.
I agree. I guess I would say to add on to that, since we're talking about the big game, and I never cared about Tom Brady. That's not my personal GOAT, but he is the GOAT. All right, he is the quintessential GOAT. We can put this GOAT conversation to bed. All right, Pat's not there yet. He's not there. Let's stop this. Let's stop all this ridiculous. Had he won the three-peat, he still wouldn't have been the GOAT. He obviously didn't win the three-peat. He has a long, and I mean a very long way to go. Let's stop this conversation right now. Let the man be great. Appreciate the greatness, but this GOAT talk gotta stop.
Yeah, I mean we could say that about the head coach, the quarterback, and the tight end, right? Like comparing it to those Patriots teams and those, at least those two position players, right? People want to make the argument that those two in Kansas City are better than Gronk and Brady, but they're not. And
yeah, how so we forget how great Gronk was? Did y'all forget how great that man was? Like, Gronk was unstoppable, and Kelsey had his moments where he's unstoppable, but Gronk was like
Kelsey looked like he was just along for the ride for most of the playoffs.
And I was going to say for most of the season, honestly.
Oh, yeah. And Gronk's last season in Tampa, he still looked like he'd go another 3 or 4 years if he really wanted to. So,
yeah, that man just wanted to drink. Can't blame him. Drink and hang out with his supermodel girlfriend.
Facts.
Are they still together?
Yes.
Thought so.
But they are not engaged.
I don't look the Super Bowl. I was. Can I just say, like, nothing about the Super Bowl was really entertaining to me.
It was what, 40-6 at what point?
Like the game wasn't entertaining. Like, I may get some flack for this. I didn't care for halftime. Like, I didn't understand any of it. Like, just I probably part of it was probably because I had my volume turned down, so because my child was trying to fall asleep, but I still couldn't understand any of it. The commercials sucked.
Political statement from Kendrick. I'll say that. As far as the entertainment value, no, it was not the greatest halftime, but it was very political. He was very poignant and strategic with what he was.
But see, I didn't even realize that until I saw everybody like explaining it afterwards, right? Like, I was like, okay, whatever. Can we just? I don't know. Like, something's got to change with some of the Super Bowl half. Like last year was pretty good. Rihanna was absolutely amazing. I loved Rihanna's. When did The Weeknd do it? Do y'all remember? That was terrible.
I didn't like The Weeknd.
That was not good.
Yeah, and I honestly don't feel like The Weeknd's a big enough artist to do a Super Bowl halftime.
No,
that's just me.
I don't know. If y'all could book anybody for the Super Bowl halftime, who would you book?
I mean, I don't know who hasn't already done it. I mean, I don't know.
I would just package it as a Dreamville team. Just a Dreamville team.
Josh, you did say that. You did say that before. And
that would be that would be one of the greatest performances ever.
Now the world is going to get on Twitter and be like, "Who the hell is Jid?
Who is JID? Is this
Earth Gang? What is this?
Is it bass? Is it bass? What is how do you say that one?
Yeah, no. I would love that though. The world wouldn't know a damn thing.
No. You got to let Ari Lennox open it up, yes. and then let her leave the stage. Like let her open it and then just leave the stage.
I regret asking.
I will say I think it is time for a country halftime though. They got to bring some big time country artists in to do a halftime. I will agree with that. It's time for a country halftime at the Super Bowl.
The last country, there's only been one, and that was Travis Tritt in 1994.
But it can't be this put me to sleep country though. You know, it's got to.
But a lot of country isn't that anymore, Artie. It's not. Like, give me Morgan Wallen, Hardy, and Post Malone.
Okay.
During halftime,
I would sign up.
That would be absolutely electric.
Only if Teddy Swims can also perform in that.
Fine.
I would sign up for that.
Like, who did Morgan just do that song with recently? That rapper. It's gonna come to me after we finish. What?
That's just funny.
This is gonna kill me. The song's fantastic. I don't know.
If you forget who that rapper is, let us know.
Don't make it sound like I'm an asshole for saying it like that, but
Jared is who I would want every white father to be. Jared is the pinnacle of white fatherhood.
Me and my New Balances, guys. Y'all, I was at the park pushing my daughter on the swings a couple weeks ago, and this guy comes up and he said, "Man, those are some nice 990s." And I was like, "Thanks, man."
Oh man,
we just had a full-on conversation about our New Balances.
Be able to point out some 990s. Credit score got to be over 750. That's all. Got to be over 750.
It's there. Don't worry about it. It's there. I don't have a walk the plank other than I just honestly the last two Super Bowls I've watched, like I fell asleep before the end of the game. I just did. I fell asleep on my couch before the end of the game. Woke up at 1:00, like acid reflux out the ass. Like it was just too many wings, too much buffalo chicken dip, too many pizza, too many like slices of pizza.
Was it literally coming out of the ass? Or
no. I just felt I felt miserable until about noon today, Josh. I didn't eat last night. I still don't feel great. And then I did eat the buffalo chicken dip for whatever was left over from lunch today. That was fire. But I mean, yeah, I'm getting old, guys. I can't hang. I can't hang anymore.
See, this is probably another reason why I'm not a big fan of buffalo chicken dip, because it's too much heartburn. It's too much heartburn, acid reflux. I can't do it like that. I can't. I know I'm gonna be miserable the next day. Yeah, I don't care how good it is. I just know like it's gonna jack me up.
Yep. Just give me some regular sausage dip.
Yep, because that buffalo dip is gonna jack me up.
Moneybag Yo was the guy I was thinking of.
Okay.
Y'all know him?
No of them. Yes.
Okay. Look it up. It'll get your girl feeling right. I'll say that. This show's off the rails. All right. That's it for episode 229 of the Boneyard Podcast. Make sure to follow us wherever you want to on social media at Boneyard Podcast, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at the Boneyard Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. If you don't, Josh, Artie, what can you do? Josh jumped out. Josh is like, I'm out. And then, yeah, make sure you subscribe on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. If you don't, this is what Josh would say: walk the damn plank. And then, yeah, that's all I got. Let's go get a couple dubs this weekend. Let's add a poll to the let's add a broom to the poll early in the season.
Hey, look, we're going for that sweep. It's baseball season, people. It's the second happiest time of the year for a lot of us. The happiest time of the year. So let's get it done. You know this Pirate Nation. Wash your hands, wash your butts. Until next time, deuce.
Go damn Pirates.